Can you believe it's like 10 minutes since the last video? Oh, I'm so tired of this shit. I'm so tired. I was on my way home. Oh. This is PMDD Diaries. And I thought I'd just pull over today because I thought I'd just make this video today because I just come back from my massage, which I have to have twice a week. It's a reflexology massage, which I'll tell you a bit more about another time because that's not what this is about. But I've come to this place, not far from a nice wooded area, and I'm supposed to like be going for a walk because according to my masseuse, who's also a therapist, which it works, I don't have time, so I just kill two birds with one stone. I get therapy in my massage. Sometimes I don't like talking to people when I'm having a massage, but this lady talks sense, and I'm going to introduce you guys to her properly, because she's also a herbalist and does homeopathy, so that's literally what has even got me to the stage of being able to talk about these things and come to terms with what I'm going through and just get on top of it, finally. So yeah, I've been dealing with this since I'd say 2016. That's when I had my first official episode. But I feel like as a teenager and as a young girl, like since puberty, I've definitely had a hormone imbalance because anyone that went to school with me will tell you I'll be punching people up every week. And I never used to start trouble. I wasn't a troublemaker, but I was definitely a finisher. And like just one little tiny violation that maybe could just be overlooked. I used to walk around waiting for the opportunity to just box someone. And I think that's what I find every month still haunts me. So that's why I believe it was linked to puberty and yeah, just hormones in general. But I've come to this place anyway to go for a walk because it's supposed to help my mind calm because I'm in the level of wanting to break a nose. And there's no real reason. There's nothing. Nobody's upset me. No one's violated me. I'm not poor. You know what I mean? So I'm not worried about money. I'm not hungry. I mean, I'm due to eat in about an hour, but I'm not even hungry because that could be a trigger as well, which we'll explore that another time. I want a video and show you what it's like when I get hungry in comparison to actually when I've eaten food. Like, oh, it's embarrassing. But yeah, I've come all the way here and I can't get out of the car. No, I just can't. And there's a few reasons why I can't get out of the car. The first reason is that it's cold and I'm wearing this big fur coat, but I don't know if it's all females with PMDD, but when I'm like the 2 weeks, my luteal phase, which again I will break down in the links in the description of this video, the luteal phase, which is for some people longer than others, mine is about 2 weeks, sometimes more. The luteal phase, my senses are heightened, so if it's cold, like just windy, I feel like I'm freezing to death all the way to the core. You ever feel like you're freezing to like your actual arteries of your heart, and that could just be, a little light breeze that other people would appreciate. So there's that. That's the first thing put me off getting out my nice warm car. The second thing is that the people, as soon as I pulled up here, and it's like, this is gonna sound horrible, but I just want you lot to understand it real. I pulled up here, and there was two women walking, just normally probably going through, the same thing, just getting a nature walk for whatever way they need it, whatever part of their routine. And one of them just had the most ugliest expression on her face as she gazed into my car. And she could have been thinking about something else. She might not have actually been looking at me. Like sometimes when you're focusing, thinking about something, but your eyes are like laid on something that you're not actually focusing on. But just that, like just her vibe, like the energy, it's like I now don't want to walk down the same path that she just come from. And I can't explain it, but that's it. That was it for me. I decided I'm not getting out. Like I'll just use time to make a video because I feel like if I was out the car and she looked at me like that, I would have said something. And it's not even me. Like that's not who I am in any way, who I want to be. Do you know what I mean? Troublemaker or someone that's like petty. It's a free country. You can say what you want. You can look where you want. But yeah, I can always also say what I want. I can also, you know what I mean, look where I want. And when people affect me like that, all I want to do is punch them. So, you know, and then everyone can say, oh, you know, you can't go around. I'm saying, like, I fear God, and that's the only thing that stops me from fucking people up. I'll be so honest with you. So honest. And so, I would love to walk in that green. I'm just looking at it. It looks so nice. And then the last thing is the woods. So speak freely and
Yeah,
probably.
man. So for me, you see with this thing, it's people think, oh, it's just a run up before the period. It's not just a run up before the period. It's after the period. I find that it's worse after the period. I'm emotional. Worse. That I got more mood swings after the period. I'm more emotional before the period.
Yeah, I think for me, I am not even being able to keep up with when it's happening because I've noticed that I'm very sensitive at one point in the month and like very soft and over emotional, tearful,
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, guilty and hopeless. And then like you explained, I'll have one week where like I am on top of the world. Nothing's impossible for me. I can get things done that people can't do in a lifetime, in 7 days sometimes. And it's like
Do you
scary.
have that? Do you have that, like, you see, like when you're feeling on top of the world, that you can do extra things?
What do you mean, like things you've never done before? Or
Like, not things that you've not done before, like get things, like extra things done in the day compared to when we're going through
yeah, well, that's the
that.
thing. I can never get anything done apart from that week.
Yeah.
Do you get it? So it's like
Yeah,
everything
so it
has to
feels
be
like
done then.
extra. It's like Superwoman.
Yeah, but it's like but when other people, like I had someone, obviously you know them too, that used to work for me, and it was really good. I'm just not gonna say no names because they're not in this episode, but it was really good when they told me like you just need to try and do less things every day because you're trying to do too much. And I was thought to myself, didn't feel like too much though. Like, what would
Mm.
you not do on this list? And she's like,
I
you've
just
got
feel
too much on there, like to do today. And I was like, really? But it's true because if this was a different week, I would never even dream of doing one of those things for the whole day. So it is mind blowing, but at the
I,
time you
like you
forget.
said, it's 1 week you can do things. So for the rest of the weeks, I'm I'm drained.
Yeah.
I'm physically drained.
I got a question for you because I have something I wanted to share myself. So I feel like I'll ask you first and then I'll take it from there.
If
But
I can answer it.
I,
Mind you, I'm going through what I'm going through right now, so I don't know.
it's the best time. That's what
But
I'm
go
saying.
for it.
It's best time to go like talk about it when you're in it, because explaining it is a
Mm.
myth. It's nice for people to see the difference. So I was gonna say to you, like, if there was one thing, if you've been having a down week, a negative week, and there's one thing that's been riding on your mind this whole week, like, what is that? Like, if you mind sharing that, what would you say it was?
Like going through it, one thing that's riding on my
You know, like we get those repetitive thoughts of guilt, those guilt trips that we go on. Because I've had
not
one.
being able to, not being able to function
Yeah, like
as the
why though?
general person would
Yeah,
be,
yeah, why though? What brought that up?
because it's hard. because when I'm feeling low, it's just everything just seems so hard and negative. I just feel like a lot of intrusive thoughts that I can't control.
So, like, can you describe an intrusive thought that you've had?
Where I could feel like within myself, I would feel like I am okay. I'm feeling okay and stable, and my thoughts will be telling me, no, I'm not okay. It'll be better off if I'm not here or breathing.
Okay. So I've had those ones before, but thankfully I haven't really had those for a good, like, I'd say 5 years.
No, I have them a lot.
And even then, I'm gonna be so honest. Like, I've had obviously suicide attempts once as a teenager, once as a young adult. But when it comes to how I felt 5 years ago, and the intrusive thought is that I wanted to actually fuck someone else up because they had violated me to the point of no return. And at this point, it was not even a breakdown where I wanted to hurt myself because I felt like shit and I was hurt or anything like that. I wanted revenge. And the like entertaining that idea of revenge and having the power to really act on it scared me to the point like I had to tell someone. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I've never felt that intense want to like seek justice for myself. And I feel like that was just the condition heightening the trauma of the negative experience I was having.
The trauma
Sorry.
can, not the trauma, I mean, like the condition can obviously heighten things because when you're going through it, it does make things to a normal person would say seem worse.
I wouldn't say let's try and say balance because like we are normal. The thing about this as well, why
But there's no such thing as
this
normal.
is
I would
it.
say
This
general population
this
is
this is
what
why
they
I'm
class.
this is why I'm putting this out there because the way I see it is everybody's got an imperfection, and as hard as this one is, the one thing I can say is I am so grateful to God that I know what my issue is because the amount of research and you know what I mean things that I have now applied to my life to make it just about livable, it would be so wicked not to share that with everyone else. There's people that I'm no longer even in contact with that have this condition, and it's so horrible. When you say something you wouldn't wish on your worst enemy,
Hmm.
like genuinely, that is how I feel. And I also believe there's people out there, suffering in so many situations. It could be whether it's in the domestics, it could be work life, it could be with their own like mental health. And there's people probably in prison and sectioned, diagnosed with the wrong thing. Or people telling them it's mental health when actually it's just hormones. Like if I didn't
Yeah.
have a patch, I would have probably ended up in jail by now. Like God forbid. And I just got it in the nick of time. Do you understand? Like they gave me that patch only when I told them how I was feeling about what I was entertaining. And I was like, I tried to
Well,
volunteer.
I tend to isolate myself. I'd rather not. If I'm not feeling, then yeah, I don't want to go out. I'm not, if I know I'm not feeling, if I'm feeling how I'm feeling today, I don't want to go out.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't go out for like the whole week until Thursday. I think was the first time I went outside, and not just because of the weather, the sky. Like sometimes I just wonder what the connection is with my brain and the sun that I can feel like I'm at the end of my life just because the sky is grey. Like that's the best way to describe it. And I know I have SAD too, but I feel like just like what I was saying before about entertaining those thoughts of wanting to seek justice for myself, um, that was only 2 weeks of the month. Do you get me? So I really didn't actually care about what I'd been through. I was actually happy to be out of the situation. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
in the new era, and just so glad to be free of those chains. But it's the 2 weeks when I'm not feeling good. Someone brings it up, or the person pops up, then or I could just be sitting there, and out of nowhere, I'm reflecting on my life, and then now that is all I want to deal with. You know what I'm saying? You over
Yeah, I
obsess,
don't.
hyper focus.
Yeah, I don't know if I would say I've experienced. Well, everybody experiences different things, so I
Hmm.
wouldn't say I've got. I'll have to. That's one of them ones where I'll have to sit down and my brain will tick in and think.
It's nice to see the
But I can't think
differences anyway.
straight right ahead and say, yeah, I've got an example.
I feel like it's okay if your experiences don't exactly mirror mine, because that's another
No,
important,
everybody's different.
yeah, that's an important aspect
There's
of it.
not one human being that is the same as another. Everybody experiences things. They might have similar situations, but everybody's experience is still different because of what you're going through and what you may encounter along with what you're going through.
I'm glad that you said that as well, because it just brings me on to the topic that I wanted to explore with regards to reactions to artificial hormones.
I haven't, yeah, well, as you know, I don't have any sort of artificial hormones. I don't have anything.
Yeah, but that's what you think. But this is why I brought it up, and I'm so glad that you even dropped that, because have you ever been on the pill?
Yeah.
Then yeah, you've had artificial hormones already, and that's potentially why.
Yeah, I know I've had
Yeah,
before, but I mean, like now I'm not
you're not on
like having
HRT.
any,
HRT,
nothing.
yeah. But
Yeah.
what I'm getting at is that, as a young woman, young lady in my young years, in my like early 20s, I ended up on a Yasmin pill, and as you know, I never used to have this chest that I have now. And within 2 weeks, like my breast grew abnormally, and they had to stop me on the pill. When I obviously went to my GP, because that was the only new thing that I had changed. And I looked it up, and it was like 3% of women or something can experience that side effect. But it's really good that you can have access to family planning, and it's all great that you know being sexually active is legal at 16. But those little leaflets with the hormone information on the pill that you're taking doesn't really make it clear that it's a synthetic hormone, and not every single side effect is on there, because the breast growth abnormality was not on the leaflet. I had to find that out through going online. Do you understand?
Mm,
And
yeah.
that's just a physical side effect. So I realized I didn't react well to synthetic hormones because you could see the reaction on me. But with regards to yourself or others that are taking those hormones, how do we know that these mental and emotional symptoms are not side effects of the prolonged periods on those synthetic hormones from a young age?
Yeah, I agree. And I do feel that they are.
And I think it's important, like, for if the NHS is stretched and they can't look into it, then I think people need to really take it in their own hands and start looking and doing the research, as what the real potential side effects of taking these things can be. Because honestly, if I knew that now, and I could fast forward that, that's the wrong. See, I'm in a funny week. If I could rewind, I would like to fast forward too. But if I could rewind back to being that young girl who just wanted to be safe and was not trying to breed. I wish that I realized the repercussions of my decisions long term,
Mm,
because a lot of those tablets are the reasons why I'm living with health problems now. And then, like you said, you're not on HRT, but a lot of women. Have you seen an endocrinologist yet?
no.
That's what you need to really do next, isn't it? Because that's
Yeah,
how.
I'm on the way for that one.
Yeah, because that
I'm on
took
the
me.
way for everything.
It took me 10 years to get one to do. Yeah, like, don't feel bad. But there are ways to speed it up if they are taking long. We can talk about those off record. It took me 10 years to get the endocrinologist, yeah. Um, and when you go to see them, that is how, number one, you get your official diagnosis. And number two, how you can determine the severity of your symptoms, because they actually diagnose PMDD in a similar way to that they diagnose autism. So there's like a spectrum. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I didn't know that then.
Yeah, I didn't know that until she did the assessment on me either. I was quite surprised, but of course, but I wasn't surprised when she gave me the extreme severe. So I think I'm also glad that she. This is another thing I want to talk about, and I think it's important to tell you, and it'll be nice to have a conversation now, so others listening can make a note. And is that having assessments when you're in your good week does not do you any favors. That you probably already
Oh,
know that. Do you know that?
listen, if is I just gotta know. I have to be planned and organized and have things written down because PMDD make ADHD worse. ADHD make the PMDD worse. So
Yeah, and see, I haven't been diagnosed with that, so I'm now being assessed with that. But when I did the questionnaire, I cried, and we'll talk about that another time in another episode. But yeah, I cried when I started doing ADHD questionnaire because I just didn't realize how many things I beat myself up about over the past, my whole life, really, conscious life, and they were symptoms of ADHD.
I told you this.
No, you
Yeah,
did, but it's like you've got to go and see it for yourself.
yeah, of course. You can't. You always got to go and get to educate yourself, and you can't just go off by what people's telling you.
Yeah, and this is what this is about, man. But yeah, back to the
But
getting your.
knowledge is power, innit?
This is it, and to be honest with you, it's not spoon fed either. Not when it's ready to prolong your life. You have to really go and seek that out yourself. So I hope that that's the message that people get from this. But I was gonna say with regards to the seeing an endocrinologist, getting a diagnosis, it then leads you back to, are you going to use the synthetic hormones that potentially did this to you again to now slow it down and reverse it, or are you going to just try and do it the natural way? I mean, we're not healthcare professionals, and we've got to make that disclaimer. But what are you thinking about doing? Like, have you looked down that route yet?
You always got to think about these things, but I'm always thinking, always the natural way is the best, isn't it?
It is best, but I tell you now, and I'm going to put it in one of the episodes, probably in the next series. But the natural way is possible, and it's doable, and it's definitely the most, like, it has the quickest turnaround in relief of mood symptoms, physical symptoms, emotional symptoms, and even the mental side of like being easily irritable and stuff. But I feel like what people don't want to talk about is how expensive it is.
Or expensive as well to get the vitamins and everything that you need. Also, you've got to know your diet as well, because there's certain things that don't work well with it.
Well, George, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for giving us such a detailed insight to your own personal experience. Can you tell us who Rosie is to you? Plus, how would you describe Rosie?
Rosie to me is probably the craziest girl I know. Yeah? But the craziest mixed with a lot of other stuff, okay? There's a lot of love in there. Yeah? And there's a lot of dominance, swag, style. It's mixed up with a lot of crazy stuff. So
I'll take that.
yeah, that's what we're gonna start with.
Lovely. And do you want to talk a little bit about what it was like to teach me? Because I know that wasn't easy.
Aye. Teaching Rosie Best is mad. It's a task all in itself, okay? When you're trying to teach somebody that already thinks they know what they're doing is wild. Okay, I'm trying to tell her that just press this button and then press this button after, and she's telling me what she prefers. So she wants to do it the other way. After a while, I learned the technique of listening to the foolishness that she's saying, and then saying, yeah, that's great, and you could do that if you want to do that, but the best way to do it is this way. So after a while, we got to an understanding, if you want to call it that, a balance, and she then started learning. And she's a very quick learner. Like, she can pick things up really quickly. But the thing is, she wants to do it her way. She only wants to do it her way. There's little room for compromise. But
I'm working on it.
She's working on it. But as the teacher, you just have to stand firm with her and just be like, no, that way is not going to work. You explain why it's not going to work, and she quickly patterns up and understands what's going on.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And I feel like my response to that would be...
A response?
Yeah. Do I get that?
No, you don't get to respond. No.
Is it a compliment?
All right, go for it.
Okay, thanks. My response to that would be that I feel like Super's a brilliant teacher for the simple fact that it takes a great teacher to admit when he's wrong. And...
Oh!
Let me finish. Let me land. And so... that is why we've worked together for so long, because I feel like, you know, I only want to learn from the best, and you can't be the best if you're not willing to grow.
I'll take that.
Yeah?
I'll take that. Let's go.
See, compliment. Compliment. Alright, so next question. Answer openly and honestly about any experiences or any coping mechanisms, because obviously this is a bit difficult, this one. Let me tell it to you.
Go for it.
So based on the event, your celebrity affair,
Yes.
that you let me have my DJ debut,
Mm-hmm.
hats off to him, this is the guy, thank you. Working with me, because when we work together and you're teaching me, of course it's a whole different experience to when I'm now having to go in public and be crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you find that? Like, I know you had your own stuff there. What was the experience? Feel free, tell it all.
I'm gonna have to be truthful.
Be honest.
Okay, so we had a plan, guys. Yeah, we had a plan. We spoke about it. I even came up, I think it was the day before, we went over the plan. Like, this is what we're gonna do, this is what you're gonna play, and this is the whole, this is the blueprint for everything. And then I got there. I never turn up to my parties early. I normally turn up about 12:1. But for Miss Best here, I turned up, what was it, 10 or something? Early. I was there early.
10:30.
Because I wanted to hear her set. The whole plan that we had went out the window, okay? There was no more plan. Okay, we was freestyle, we was winging it. We was winging the whole party. I was a little bit disappointed because she wasn't doing what we rehearsed. But on the flip side of it all, she was still doing good. Like, I was still very proud of her. She kept coming to me and goes, are you proud of me? Are you proud of me? I was like, yes, I'm very proud, because what she did do wasn't in the script, but what she did do was actually phenomenal. It's really hard to even take the mic and host in front of whatever 50, 100 people and take control of the crowd and to see her enjoying herself as well and having a good time.
It was lit.
Yeah. Like, she was in the zone. So I was proud that, because most people, when they come to do their first set, they're nervous. All right, if she was nervous, that's neither here nor there, because what was shown was personality, energy, and sheer confidence. And that is what I was proud of.
Thank you. That means a lot. Thanks. My response?
Brief. Go for it.
Alright, so my response is, number one, I don't feel like I've been able to thank you, and I feel like this is a perfect moment because it's going to be global. So I just wanted to thank you so much for the experience, because as you'll remember and you can tell the viewers, I said no. Was I nervous? I was literally shitting my pants, because as confident as I am and as capable as I am, and this is what the show's about, I am not the same person for the whole month. And do you remember when you officially asked to book me that I had to check my diary? And it wasn't because I was busy. It was to work out what time of the month it would be.
and bam, it fell on doomsday. So I was scared. I was like, I don't want Super to fall out with me when he sees, like, I get to hide that monster from him, because when we first started, when I started learning from him, I had told him already I can only do my lessons twice a month because of my condition, and he was cool with it. But obviously he didn't really know what he had signed up for.
I had no idea what I signed up for.
But he's still here. And yeah, so I feel like you really pulled me out my comfort zone. And we've got big things planned in store for other people that are interested in DJing and upcoming DJs.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk about that in the next episode.
Mm-hmm. We've got big plans, guys.
But I just, want to thank you for bringing out a part of me that I thought was dead. Like that kind of entertainer, party animal. And I know this is a bit much information, but for the purposes of the episode, I'm going to tell you. The stress of the anxiety and having to work with so many different characters leading up to your event actually brought the cycle way more forward. So that day actually was doomsday, like the worst day it could have been.
I get it.
But somehow I still came out of the day with friends. Super's still my friend.
Barely.
He's going to book me again though, guys. So he said I was lit. So yeah, I feel like we can move on to the next question.
Go for it.
So the next one, which I really wish I pre-read these, is I think you got to pick one, actually. So maybe should I give you the phone or should I just send them out there? I don't feel like you'd know this one actually. It asks like how do you feel when I'm struggling. I don't feel like have I ever made it obvious?
No.
I don't feel like based on our relationship, I'm not like, oh, super. I feel like I may cancel sessions. How do you feel about that? Actually, that's some good insight, because I think a lot of people in my condition have problems committing and chasing their dream because they're scared to cancel. The photographer can tell you he's also had to be patient with me. So how do you feel about
I honestly don't mind it. It's neither here nor there whether I'm always excited to teach. I enjoy it, but if there is a problem, and there's always problems, things always happen. When people cancel, it's just is what it is. Do you know what I mean? We reschedule, we rebook, and we get back on track instantly.
Thank you. Appreciate it. That's good to know. And I also was going to ask you, have you ever noticed, 'cause I know that because you've got quite a few students that sometimes come here and we do it together, so there's times when I do have to push myself to do it when I really don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever noticed the difference in my capabilities of DJing, or do they always appear to be on the same level?
I honestly don't notice, if I'm honest with you. Sometimes I have a feeling or inkling, but it's not obvious to me. But I could see that sometimes you're in your own head and you're overthinking. Like you're overthinking
You
stuff.
have said that a lot.
Yeah, you're overthinking.
Even the moves.
Yeah,
What about the
everything.
sync? I just feel like I'm off beat sometimes with it.
And that's it. And sometimes I think it's like, and maybe I'm wrong, because I'm not versed in whatever's going on with you, but
See, that's a bit what he's wrong, is what I mean. I love it.
But maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like I used to feel like at least that you was making excuses, like, oh yeah, to take shortcuts. Oh yeah, let's use the sync button to mix, or oh yeah, it's always the easy way. And then you would say, oh yeah, but it's that time, and I'm like, okay, like I don't give into it too much. Like I still want you to do the hard way, no matter what time it is. Yeah, beginning of the month, end of the month, middle of the month. Yeah, do the work. I don't want to hear it. Do you understand? I deal with tough love, so just do it. And she normally pushes through, and that's why I don't notice, because she'll moan about it for the first 3 minutes, but after that, she's into the swing of things, and we're back on track. So yeah, I don't notice because you always push through.
Thank you. I think that's comforting to know, because I know that a lot of women that go through the change that I'm going through, and it's an every month thing. And I feel like it is a situation where even if you live with the person, you may not understand it as a male,
Mm-hmm.
because I go through it every month and I still forget what it's like until it's happening.
Yeah.
So it's that deep, and I feel like being able to be vocal to the people that you're trying to grow with, that really helps, because when you guys show that tough love, sometimes we do need it.
Good.
Because it is the kind of negative inner voice, and you can't be negative and positive at the same time. And I think music, anything creative, like I said, I'm doing the photography stuff, the modelling, the DJing, the events, anything creative can really take you out of that funk, and you can probably do creative things, whereas you may struggle to do normal daily tasks.
Tough love. I'm all about the tough love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We know. What have you learned about Rosie, yourself, or your relationship whilst on her with what? Who wrote this?
What was
Who wrote this?
What was the question?
Can you just tell us what this question is? No, I don't think you wrote this one.
I don't think I did.
But it says, what have you learned about Rhiannon yourself or your relationship whilst on her PMDD journey?
Yeah, no, I don't like that.
On her journey with PMDD.
Because we're going to edit this, can we move the light into...
You can't see me at all.
You can see you, but it's not more spotlight.
Can you see him though? It's not supposed to be on me. This is
You can, but it's shadowed, like his face is shadowed-ish.
His?
Yeah, like obviously...
You looking at the screen there?
Yeah. But obviously I'm a bit further out, so it's not the same.
Is it okay now?
Like, if we move that actually...
Remember,
like,
we can filter it as well though.
Like, if we actually pick up the light and move it to the middle. Like, obviously it's not...
But then it's going to be in the shot.
Yeah, then you're going to have to do the whole stuff again. Because you'll have two different looks.
We can't. We've got to leave it. But should we put the light back where it was then?
Yeah.
Alright, where was it? Do you remember?
It was literally a little bit up.
Was that right?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I mean, yeah,
What do you
think
think?
so.
You're the pro.
If that's where it was, I mean,
Yeah? It felt
Yeah.
like it was.
Yeah, that's
Yeah?
what it feels like it was.
yeah.
Okay, if my lipstick ever because it felt like it was.
You're good.
Sure.
I'm good.
Lovely. Alright.
Actually, a long time ago.
Wait, tilt it down a tiny bit.
Would you... Let me just look
I'm looking at
down.
the shadow. Yeah. But that's better.
Oh, this is... Alright,
Look
I've
at
got
that
two good ones for you. That's a good one, and... Yeah, alright, I'll do the one that we was going to do before. Well, I feel like you've answered this, but I can just ask you it.
Go
Because
for
I
it.
love praise.
Ah.
Are there moments of resilience or strength you have witnessed in Royan that have inspired you? Start again, because you don't answer that.
I'm glad you know.
No,
I'm glad you know me a little bit.
I know you're
Oh,
not.
I'll take
Don't
that.
try it.
What kind of coach is that?
Well, I'm just going to change the name. Is that what you meant?
No.
How you doing that question?
Go for it.
You want that question? Hold on. Okay.
You got better ones than that.
Alright, I've got... What advice would you give to someone who is just starting to support a family member or friend who has a similar condition to PMDD?
Patience. In abundance. You need loads of it. Yeah, not a little bit. You need buckets of patience. Okay? That's that. You're not going to get very far without being patient. Alright, guys. What else?
Yeah.
What else?
That's a good point. Patience is... I feel like patience is the top one.
Yeah, of course. Strength.
What about...
Resilience.
What about...
It all comes under the same umbrella, but
I feel like, for me, in our friendship, I feel like the best thing, like you said before, is just the understanding. And even though you show the tough love, when you know I really can't do something, you don't make me feel rubbish.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Like, you might bring it up later as a sly dig.
I'm good at that.
Yeah,
I'm
he's
good at
great at that. But at the time, I feel like you're understanding. So I feel like, yeah, that's... You answered it in a nutshell.
I got you, man.
Last one. You did like that one. So... I love it. You're funny. Wait. Alright. Pick one. Please.
No.
Oh, okay.
Ah, okay.
This is a good one.
This is a
I'm going to
good
be
one.
surprised though if you actually have something. Okay. Has there been any moment when you felt unsure of how to support Rosie to cope with something?
No, I haven't. I've never felt unsure. I feel like I just knew what to do. I don't know how to explain it.
I agree.
I don't know how to explain it. I just knew. Yeah, there's all sorts of people with different personalities and different disorders or whatever out there, and you just have to, as I said, be patient, pick your battles, and know how to understand and communicate. Ooh, you need to know how to
that's
communicate.
one that was missing.
Yeah.
Communication.
And once you've got those fundamental skills, which I do, yeah, you're ready for it. You're ready for the task at hand, man.
Thank you. Well, I have no further questions, Roma.
All right, you owe me lasagna.
Oh!
What?
Oh no!
What's going on here?
Yeah, that was great. How's it look like? You happy with that?
Yeah.
You're even smiling. I know it's good time. You won't even smile like that.
So I've known Royan for years. We met in high school, and it's funny because from when we met, we just clicked instantly. Royan was always sort of seen as an aggressor in school, let's call it. A lot of the girls were scared of her. She was just very dominating, very outspoken, very loud. But I just never got that vibe from her. Like, from when we met, we just clicked, and we've always been close. I mean, we've gone through stages where we don't speak for years sometimes, honestly, and every single time we come back together, it's just like nothing's changed. And that's one thing I do appreciate about our friendship and our relationship, and it's so beautiful that I've been able to see the growth in her, because as I mentioned a second ago, in school, I feel like people used to see her as angry and aggressive and a bit of a, I don't want to use the word bully, it might be the wrong term to use, but very dominating. But over time, and obviously learning that she's got PMDD and, you know, all these other things, I've really been able to understand the place she's come from and her struggles, and maybe why certain things were happening, maybe why sometimes she would come into school and be a bit more down and her moods would be a bit more low. Things like that were never even brought to our attention, you know, when we were a bit younger. So it's so beautiful that I can actually see her growth, because I remember when we were younger, like, Royan would get angry and, you know, the outcome probably wasn't positive. But now, even like speaking to her when she's going through certain things, just her responses and just things she says alone shows me she's grown. She doesn't react all the time. She always evaluates, analyzes, and then handles the situation. Even the fact that she can take herself out of a situation when she's feeling a certain way just shows how much she's grown, because it's not easy, you know, when you're going through something naturally, especially when you're used to these recurring habits and you're used to doing what you normally do, you know, getting angry, locking people off, or whatever it may be, you know, you're used to that pattern. But I've just seen how she's able, now she's got her diagnosis, I think she's able to understand herself better, to be able to deal with the situation better, or deal with whatever it is that's thrown at her in a better way. Now, that's not to say she doesn't have bad days, because who doesn't? But I just genuinely see a big change in that area from her getting her diagnosis, from me knowing her when she wasn't diagnosed. I can just see how she handles situations in such a more mature and a way that she's analysed it and really thought it through. So when I see Royan struggling, first of all, I just feel bad, because I deal with my own mental health stuff. So I know when you feel low and when you're in a certain place, it can really put you in a really bad place. So when I see her struggling, of course, naturally I just feel bad. But then also, it sounds a bit weird, but I feel like that's when Royan, it's like she has these little moments, but then she comes back with this supersonic idea. So it's like, it's negative in a sense, of course, and we don't want her to be going through anything low in that moment. But what I also recognize with her is that she flourishes in them moments as well, because it's like her brain goes on shutdown or whatever, she gives up, or not literally, but you know, just for a day you might just be like, I'm over this. And then all of a sudden she's come back with this amazing idea. So yeah, it's negative in the sense where I don't want to see my friend struggling and going through, you know, things that aren't making her happy. But in the same breath, sometimes I always look at the flip side to stuff, because, you know, I mean, even this week, me and Royan, I've been having some conversations, and she's not in a great place, but we have come up with some brilliant ideas, like the things we've put in place this week. I'm like, you're struggling this week. If this is a week you're struggling, imagine when you're not struggling. Like, her brain can just go can go far, you know. So yeah, that's another thing as well. Like I said, it is negative she goes through it, but I also see she flourishes in that environment. I think she works very well under pressure. So I think that's what helps in that sort of situation, because not everybody can. I don't work well under pressure at all. So it's not a natural thing to everybody. But I think with Royanne, it helps her. So I also think environment makes a big difference, you know. Her having her own space and her own environment, and even sometimes I call her and I need to take some of her advice and some of her doings, because I ring her and she's got some nice calming music in the background, and that's not the Royanne I know. I voice noted her the other day and I was like, wow, I'm loving your tranquil backgrounds. Every time I call her, they're just tranquil, or when we're voice noting, sorry, her background's just so tranquil and peaceful, and it's just so nice to see that growth in her, because like I said, I think people just assumed and perceived her as this angry person that, you know, going around, you know, just doing things that probably wasn't deemed as nice or whatever. But I just think with the growth and with the diagnosis, I can just see a whole different person, and I'm really proud of her actually, because it's not easy. Like, dealing with anything is not easy. So the fact that she can bring herself out of it and make positive from it. If I'm being honest, I don't really know a lot about PMDD, and it's only because me and Royanne have actually got closer recently that I'm learning more about it. And you know what, it's really brilliant, because it's sort of made me start questioning, you know, certain things about myself, because we have these open conversations about just mental health and things that happen and ourselves, and sometimes she says things and she's explaining things, I'm like, oh my gosh, that sounds a bit like what I go through. So it's so amazing that I've got a friend, because sometimes I feel like I don't even understand myself. So it's so nice that Royanne's able to have these conversations with me, and I'm able to have these open and honest conversations with her, and be exposed. Because if I'm honest, even sometimes I mention it to other people and they haven't even got a clue what that is. They're none the wiser. They don't know what PMDD is. They've never heard of it. So I think it's so amazing that it's being spoken about more, and a lot more diagnoses are coming forward, because, you know, women are struggling with this monthly, you know, and they're just dealing with it, and they're just probably thinking like, it's my period, I'm just going mad, like whatever it may be. You blame it on other stuff when actually there's an underlying issue. And like I said, if I didn't speak to Royanne, it wouldn't have even triggered my brain to think of certain things about myself. So that's amazing too. So I think the fact that she plans her weeks and her days around that, you know, knowing she's going to go on shutdown mode, or knowing that she's probably not going to be available for them 2 weeks, and she does her planning around it to make sure she's prepped for the next 2 weeks, brilliant coping mechanism. And I think it really helps with regulating her emotions, because imagine coming out of a 2-week downer and just like everything's all over the place. At least where she's pre-organized and done everything, I think it's brilliant. And that's another thing I was going to say, is showing her growth. I think she's analyzing things on such a different level now to understand herself and how she works, which she's even helped me, because I'm a very analytic person about myself especially. So I like to analyze and, you know, see where we can improve. And like I said, speaking to Royanne has really brought some things to the surface, and I'm so grateful for it, honestly. So there are definitely times when I feel helpless, because obviously what can you do? Your cycle's gonna come, you know it's coming basically, and you know what's coming with it. But saying that, of course, as a friend, I will do anything to support my friends in that moment, whether it's lending an ear, anything they need. You know, if I needed to show up in some sort of way, I would be there for my friends. But as I mentioned earlier about her being able to only work 2 weeks out of the month and 2 weeks off, that's even difficult within itself, because even planning things for herself or making plans with friends or just anything, it's so difficult to navigate that. So in that sense, I feel helpless to support that, because if you're not feeling good, then what are you going to do? You're going to have to stay at home and get yourself back into a good place. and not even necessarily stay at home. I think just typically when you're in that mode, naturally people want to be at home. But obviously Royanne uses the gym and does all these other things to keep herself busy, which is brilliant. So I do feel helpless to help in that sense, because I can't exactly take away what she's got. But I also know she utilizes and is very smart with her timing. So she knows if she's going to be coming on or whatever it may be, I think she utilizes her time wisely to make sure she's planned before she goes on shutdown mode, which I think is a brilliant tool to have. I think I first became aware when we sort of got back in contact a few months ago, actually. Like I said, I started to work on her with her project. I was doing some styling for her, and you know, she started to let me know I've been going through this. And like I said, I've heard of it before through other people, but we've never gone into deep conversation about it. So when she said it to me, it was like a light bulb moment, because I started to think, oh my gosh, like in school and throughout the years of knowing you, for our teenage years and growing up, bless you, you were dealing with that. And that's probably why you came across as so angry and aggressive. And, you know, even the fact that she struggles 2 weeks out of the month, that's really difficult to not be able to work for 2 weeks because because whatever the reason, it could be mood low, this, whatever it is that you're suffering within them 2 weeks. Yeah, it's bizarre to me. And like I said, if I didn't speak to her, I would have never have known she was dealing with it. We would have just genuinely seen it as, that's just Royanne. Royanne's just doing Royanne, you know. So I was so glad she made me aware. Honestly, it was, I said it previously, but yeah, it triggered things in my brain. I'm like, that sounds a bit familiar to things sort of I go through, and even other people I'm around go through. So it was brilliant for her to bring that awareness to me.
They say that I'm half naked because my skin's always bare. They say they love my confidence, yet I believe it's something that they fear. If they catch me on a good day, on a day that I care, and ask me politely, Rosie, why's your chest always just there? Out of love and with respect, then maybe I'd share. PMDD doesn't just stop there. It affects your skin, eating disorders, and even your hair. Tune in for the next episode, The Naked Truth I will share.